Good afternoon. My name is Tiara Scott, and I am interviewing with Mary Dietz. It is, what is it? It is Thursday, October 28th, and we are in the Office of Student Engagement area at McDaniel College. So the first question I have for you, Mary, is where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Baltimore, in a suburb known as Brooklyn.
Okay, great. And how long have you lived in Carroll County?
I have been here for 17 years.
Nice. So can you tell me about your move to Carroll County?
Yes, my husband and I were married, and we thought we wanted to live out here. Nice place to safe and have our children grow up. When we first got married, we lived actually in the house I grew up in, and we saved our money, and we couldn't quite afford to get all the way out here, so we moved to Baltimore County. We lived in Reisterstown, and then after we were there for about 7 more years, was the market and the timing right for us to move, and we made it out here. And I live like 5 minutes from the college.
Great. So it was your intention for a long time.
It was our intention. Mm-hmm.
What drew you to this area?
I would say that was more my husband. He is more aware of surroundings and safety and environment. I would probably be happy anywhere, but we live together, so we must both be happy. So that's why we're here.
Good point. All right, so what was the area like when you moved here?
I would say it was pretty similar, but it was a little less crowded, lot less building. There's been a lot more building with houses. I remember looking out my kitchen window and seeing a lot more trees, and now I see a lot more houses up on the hill than I do. Of course, I also see trees because the trees have grown up that have been planted in my yard and my neighbors, but you know what I mean.
Yes. Great. So then would you say the town was more rural or urban then?
I would say it was a little bit of both. Like you could tell it was a little more country, but it still was urban.
Okay. It was.
In my opinion.
Right. And what did your family do for entertainment during your first year or two that you lived in Carroll County?
Well, I wouldn't say that we're major people that go out quite a lot. First of all, I had a 3-year-old, so there wasn't a whole lot of going out and doing very many things. And we were still getting adjusted to living out here because my husband worked in Baltimore and I actually worked in Owings Mills. And then picking up our son from daycare, you're pretty much tired. And the weekends sometimes we're actually going to visit family who lived back in Baltimore. So it wasn't, it was the occasional going out to dinner. That was about it for us.
Like what places did you go out to eat?
Oh, wasn't really anything fancy. Probably fast food.
Okay.
Or Harry's, something like that.
Tell me about Harry's. I don't know about Harry's.
You don't know Harry's?
No.
Harry's is right on Main Street. I don't know how many years ago. I think they actually had a fire in the kitchen. I'm not sure how long they were closed, but they remodeled, and it's really very nice. They're very famous for their hamburgers. They have a nice section where you can eat outside and a beautiful spot inside to eat. It's just, regular food, but a little nicer atmosphere than your fast food and that.
Nice. And would you call that like a local spot?
Yes, I would call Harry's a local spot.
Great. That's interesting to know.
See, you should check it out.
Yes. And what changes have you seen in the county?
Well, as I said, it's a lot with the building. So with that, brings jobs, which is a good thing, but then it takes away some things too. And then I guess the more country feel is some of it is gone. Not all of it, but some of it. I'm still fine with how it is.
Okay.
But others who were born here may not be.
That makes sense. So what is one place that you can think of that used to be in Carroll County but is no longer here as the result of all the buildings?
I was just having a conversation about this on a walk the other day with the ladies I walk with at lunch. And there was a department store right on Main Street. It was called Mather's, and that is no longer here. And I didn't go in there too much, but I do remember going in there, and it was just like your old-time department store, you know, where everybody knew your name when you came in, and, you know, there were clothes or whatnot folded nicely on these little bins, and then maybe they had little extra stock underneath, and it was just your old-time feel to the store, and it's no longer here. I forget exactly where it was on Main Street. I'm thinking it's right around where Coffee Music was, but I'm not positive. I'm probably wrong.
Interesting. That's more than what I knew. Great. So, what experiences did you have with rural Carroll County life before urbanization? Like, or did you have any?
I don't know that it was. I don't know for me that it's been that different. For me personally, I can't recall that I did anything differently than I do now.
That's a good point. So how long have you worked in Carroll County?
I've worked, I wrote that down because I had to think about that. Mm-hmm. How many years has it been? Did I write down it? 9.
Nice.
9 years.
Nice. And what positions have you held since you live here in the county?
Well, I work part-time at Kohl's department store. They've been around for 9 years. So I've worked there since the store opened. I remember being very excited when they were coming because I loved to shop at Kohl's, but I had to go to Hanover. And that's a little bit of a trek.
Yeah.
And I've also worked for Carroll County Public Schools. I was a special ed assistant.
Really?
And now I'm working at McDaniel College.
Wow. So just tell me about those work experiences.
Well, I'm still currently employed at Kohl's because I like the discounts. It's hard to give up after 9 years. I enjoy being with people, so that is a great job for me. I work in customer service, so I see a lot of people coming to bring back their stuff, and it's fun for me. Working in Carroll County Public Schools, I did enjoy. In fact, I really was very happy to be there. Wasn't really looking for another job, but found out about this, and I had worked at the college a couple years ago and was let go from my position. And so I really wanted to get back here too. So it was very tough for me to decide, do I want to apply for the position or not? Because I really am happy where I am.
Right.
Because I love working with kids. I was actually helping them with math, 7th grade math. So, but I really enjoy being here at McDaniel. Does that answer your question?
It definitely does. Okay, so how has the social climate in Carroll County changed as the population became more diverse?
I'm thinking that we're experiencing growing pains. I noticed that a lot when I was in the school system. We have a lot more children struggling with the English language. And so I'm not sure we're up to speed on meeting their needs. And if we're having trouble communicating, then we're going to have trouble in other areas.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
That's a great point. So can you describe your personal experiences during any major national events that may have occurred while you were in Carroll County?
I do remember when 9/11 happened. And I remember having the comfort of my neighbors just gathered around the bus stop, waiting for our kids to get home that day, and just talking about how awful things were, and after having watched the news and all that was going on that day. And I'm not one that generally watches the news because there is so much tragedy that goes on around us. My husband calls me Pollyanna because I really don't like the news. I don't want to know all the awful that's going on. I want to focus on the positive things that go on around us. So I just really avoid the news. But that day, of course, I watched. And as we were waiting at the bus stop, just being grateful for what we had in our life and just wanting to grab our kids and hug them as they got off the bus that day was something that I remember. Just having the comfort of my, neighbors just, right there on the corner. It was really quite nice.
So tell me about any important issues or difficulties you can recall having since the time you've lived in the county.
I'm seeing a lot, like I said, with housing development. I see our roads getting a lot more crowded. I'm seeing, I don't like to focus on that, but I see a lot people being short-tempered because they're in a rush. I don't believe a lot of people work in Carroll County that live in Carroll County. So they're spending a lot of time driving, and then they're tired. And then we don't have that friendliness that we should have no matter where we live. Okay. So I wouldn't like that anywhere. And then I've also noticed, like you said, with changes, well, the shopping around here has changed. Some I think for the good, but for that little department store Mathers, not so good.
Right.
But I am happy Kohl's is here. Not that they put them out of business. Probably Walmart put them out of business. But they do bring more jobs, so we have to take the good and the bad. And I would like to focus on the good.
I like that. So now describe to me the most significant change that you've seen in Carroll County over the years since you've lived here.
The most significant change. I would have to say that it would be our surroundings. I think that we have a lot more conveniences than we probably did before. But with that, on the downside comes a little bit more crowded. Perhaps if we just slow down a little bit, we can enjoy both the conveniences and more people. That's just more people to get to know.
I think that's a great perspective. And what do you perceive are the benefits, disadvantages, or both to the urbanization in Carroll County? You touched on several of them.
I think I probably have. There's more jobs, to be right. But again, we're getting crowded. We're more rushed, so we're less friendly. I'm not saying that's everybody, just a few. But sometimes the few and their attitude kind of overflows and takes over. Not like that effect that it has.
Totally understandable. And what would you tell a friend who had never been to Carroll County about this community?
I would say that it is a diverse community. I would also tell them that it's eclectic. I would say that we do have a country feel, but yet we do have conveniences of a city. I think everything's very close. Being right here in Westminster, I went to just to someone else's house about 12 miles away, and I thought I was in the middle of nowhere. I have streetlights where I live. They did not. And it's, just that different feeling. So to me, I live in the city, and they lived in the country, and we were only about 12 minutes apart.
It's funny.
Yeah. So you can have a little bit of everything out here, whatever you desire. It's a nice place to live. It's even a better place to work.
Excellent. So is there anything that you can think of that comes to mind when you think about Carroll County that you'd like to share with me?
I think people should experience it for themselves. Give it a chance and look for the good no matter where you are.
I love that.
Thank you.
So you sure that's everything?
I think that's
you have to say?
everything.
That's great. Well, I want to thank you for taking this time out to do this interview.
Well, thank you
with
for
me.
choosing me.
And you're welcome. And I've learned a lot more about you. I thought I knew a lot about you, but obviously I've learned some more about you, and I like your perspective on things.
Thank
That's
you.
what I can say. So once again, thank you.
You're welcome.